Around the time we were talking, you come through waving Chekhov's gun, dropping Chekhov's bullets on the floor of Chekhov's petrol station because you're tired and you've been snorting ground paracetamol to make a toothache you didn't know was there go away, and this of all Tuesdays is going to be different because you're less dead than you will be this time next week and twice as dead as you will be the week after that. The superhero on duty looks at you out of deep panda eyes and says, "We both know it doesn't work that way." But just because you can agree on that doesn't mean you are any more likely to know the way it actually does work, if at all, and so you keep your mouth quiet when Chekhov's police come bursting through the door, past the Rolos, and start to open Chekhov's fire. Perhaps there is something here about using things just because they are there. In a botched attempt to square away the world, your first inventory reads, "Things of permanence." Things of impermanence, even. The writing on the back of hands, half in lists, wearing away already. The heads missing rest in a shoulder, waymarks of the distance between you and all of the people you could have been in love with from far away. The rain on the car bonnet lit up 1,000 winks, maybe 10,000. You live the kind of life where it's never been that necessary to have been able to tell one from the other. Things which do not know their impermanence yet. The woods from which society is built, nor the home they find in the ruined hinter buildings of authority, nor dreams squared into plastic boxes and left to Tupperware out, nor the first moths of summer to crash into your window. Things of permanence. As a human, you feel it would be disingenuous to think that there could be anything to say here. Things that do not know their permanence. Molecules, recycling. In this night you are making, your babies are rectangles, drawn in haste, so hasty that their hands cannot keep up with their thoughts. This is the only way to get things done. This is the only way of living a life where your regrets cannot keep up with you. You ask yourself questions of existence, of youth, of what these things can mean when you are not a part of them anymore. You think of the day when you are not alive and tell everyone you can comprehend what this means. And do yourself the favour of never examining this with micro or telescope. You set store by stars, and palms, and entrails, and this too is a form of knowing and not knowing, of knowing and unknowing, of control and things you could not wish to control. Perhaps there is something here about using things just because they are there. We swallow things, then swallow the fingers down throat that follow, just for good measure. When you use the gun, a sense of inevitability is to be expected. The meditation on cassette tape tells you in a voice drooping from over playback. You imagine words dripping off the speaker's moustache, like cave water off a stalactite goes down, like your brain down the sides of the rhyme to remember which one's a stalactite goes down. Read this like a book. Learn, unlearn. Try translating a scream into the paper. At least it might crumple or blow away. Whatever it is, worry it like a wisdom tooth with your grandma's pliers you took for an inheritance. Your grandma always had a look of Chekhov about her. You are stinging with tired, eyes are gone somewhere, your ears. Because a shroud and a cape are interchangeable, it is suggested you choose a colour that can work for both. For this reason, Chekhov blue came to prominence. Those remembering wombs thought that if that beforeness had a colour, it might be Chekhov blue. Things that were Chekhov blue to him were things he couldn't remember if he was seeing or feeling. Chekhov blue sounded like someone bringing their wheelie bin down the street at night. Sounded like the inch before a neighbour's closed eyelid. Chekhov blue in the relief of someone else's toilet flushing at the third attempt. Chekhov blue of the rabbit with its foot still intact. Chekhov blue and cold played across his lips like a harmonica. Chekhov blue the colour of bed sheets. Chekhov blue the taste of pub crisps. Chekhov blue moving up between knotted shoulders. Chekhov blue warm as the sun you are wearing your skin with. Chekhov blue in signatures you don't recognise as your own. Chekhov blue for what it's worth. It's not worth this. You can make a tongue form from any crowd of people if you don't worry what that tongue will say. You can tongue proverbs till the cows come home. Milk idioms for all they are worth. They are worth more than this. Once you believe in Chekhov, your tongue will come back in the shape of a prayer, which, by all the strains of logic, you ought to have forgotten by now. Here, inevitability will start to undo itself, like a clairvoyant who knows he's faking but can't get anyone else to see it. Setting, unsettling, you make things fall from the sky. You holiday another holiday from yourself you couldn't afford to take. When the dipping of your power comes, think not of me, think of what I meant. Choose something, for tomorrow brings just bringing. And you can't understand what this means. Yet, what makes narrative tension a kind of joke is, once the gun's on the wall, we already know why it's to come off the wall. Veins as apologies, inevitable as a favour given in return. Veins laid out across an arm like planes around a terminal. Like something squaring up to be terminal, like term's end, like a summer braced to start against a school gate, like a summer wearing itself out in the first week, like a child wearing out its first lifetime, the first of all possible lifetimes, one you're committed to, have fucked up and can't put down until you've put right. You've heard it said that you should always leave somewhere better than you found it. And this sentiment maybe extends to picnic areas, village halls, but none of the important places like planets or public toilets. Though perhaps there is something here about using things just because they are there. Because a saint and a superhero are functionally interchangeable, it was suggested epithets might be used in much the same way for both. For this reason, Google sagged under the weight of searches for something novel. The astonishing, taken. The evangelist, taken. The navigator, taken. The stylite, taken. The great, taken many times over. The confessor, taken. The wonder worker, taken. The iconographer, taken. The martyr, taken. The obscure, Hardy. The redeemer, Rio. The fool, too similar to Fool for Christ. The fortunate. The reticent, the ambitious. The vengeful, the halfway. The singular, the unrequiter, the apologist, the halfway, the singular, the unrequiter, the apologist, the pasteurized, the trialed, the discarded, the lamented, the barefoot, the toothless, the naked, the tacit, the almost, the coward, the sure-footed, the clean-handed, the crouched, the unstuck, the parabolic, the innocent, the naive, the innocent, the inexistent. You start each memorial service with an inventory of things that are inevitable. The inventory resembles a prop list of whatever act has just come before, and so you begin to sound like you are speaking for the sake of speaking. Perhaps there is something here about prayers. The parabolic. The innocent, the naive, the innocent, the inexistence, another piece of the moth-eaten, the defrocked, wisdom intent on the fallen, the sealed, the locked, the unloaded, the half-cocked losing teeth, the knowing, the not knowing, the unknowing names supposed to be the mist, the carrier, the carrion, biodegradable as the styrofoam, the plastic, the fool, the national anthem of a weekend, the barbarian, the citizen, the useful, the clicking stuck to them, the groaning, the drowning, as a shroud imperishable, the waning in all the places, the innocent, the inexistence, they could not stop existing, the indestructible. The indestructible. And so we were left with the corpse of a superhero and no instructions. We thought that the burying of him might set the world off its axis. He never burned when he was alive, so why would he burn now? The undertakers wouldn't take him, and he'd been in the front room so long, and to all our eyes there wasn't any sign of decay yet. Under the breath of thoughts, we asked what was the danger of the radioactivity leaking out. We were left with the corpse of the superhero, and every night was like a wake. A wake that keeps on going is called insomnia. We offered as a hamstrung joke. Every night we'd talk about his lack of relatability and how this corpse was so heavy, and we'd take turns trying to lift it. On the subject of fallen things, moths drop from the ceiling, and that this no longer says plague to you, you take to be another part of your religious brain come off in your hands. Clay breaks the clay, so find a stone tomb in which to seal it. Say the prayer that nobody remembers at its entrance. Each tongue a mass extinction, then look to Lazarus, patron saint of walking into the wrong light. The moths flock to him, but he offers only something prosaic by way of explanation. He has been on the wrong side of a miracle too. The article of faith, subject to a life sat in the pub with no one believing him. When eventually he showed them the newspaper clippings, rumours of cannibalism followed him everywhere. Perhaps there is something here about doing for the sake of doing. It's widely concluded that with all narrative developments having been telegraphed in the previous act, the future must likewise be announcing itself non-stop in the present. All it takes is to look, and for this reason, clairvoyance becomes flavour of the month. The psychic tells you that he doesn't think it works that way. You tell him that as all narrative developments have been telegraphed in the previous act, the future must likewise be announcing itself non-stop in the present, and so all it takes is to look. And he is forced to admit he struggles with details and besides hasn't been paying that close attention. Yet, what makes narrative tension a kind of joke, narratively speaking, is that when the generalized fear meant the wall came down, the gun stayed suspended in the air. And what were we to think but that it was so unforgivably light? Else the atmosphere heavy beyond reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button, if you could hit the subscribe button, and make sure to ring that bell icon so you don't miss any updates from us in the future. If you want to go that extra mile and support us a little further, we do have a Patreon channel with loads of exclusive goodies, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate your help, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.